Well, yeah, I grew up in a family with two older brothers. I'm the youngest. My two brothers happened to be extremely smart, academic, like amazing students. They were always taking all these advanced classes, and for me, man, I just struggled so much in school. I hated homework. I couldn't pay attention in class. I was always distracted, and sometimes I just felt like I was a failure. I felt like I just couldn't make it. One day, me and my next door neighbor were riding our bikes. Off in the distance, we saw these teenagers. They were kind of known as like the bad teenagers in our neighborhood. And they would just skate up and down the street. And I was just sitting there on my bike, like amazed. And then all of a sudden, this guy did a kickflip over this trash can. My mind was blown. And there was just something about it where like I just saw this freedom. I just saw this creativity, and I just knew like, I have to be part of this. I have to get a skateboard. This is what I need to do. Living my life as a skateboarder, I was still lost. I was still confused, and I was still struggling through school and really not knowing, what am I really made for? Am I ever gonna amount to anything? What is my purpose in life? And I just thought I was a failure. It was during a time I was going through a breakup with a girlfriend. I was so hurting, I was so confused. Everything that I put my trust in, everything that I put my hope in was just sand. It was just, there was no foundation. And I finally said, you know what, I don't know if I believe in God. I don't know if I believe any of this stuff. And I prayed. I talked to a God that I didn't even know if I believed in. And I said, God, I don't know if you're real. I don't know what I believe, but I've heard things about you. And I picked up a Bible, and I opened up to a little book in the Bible called James, a 3-page book. It was the craziest thing. I said a little prayer to a God I didn't even know if I believed in. And I said, God, if this is your word, will you speak to me through your word? Will you teach me? And I really wasn't expecting anything crazy, but as soon as I began reading that book, immediately, like, God started changing my whole mind and my whole life. Like, I knew God is talking to me right now, and it was the trippiest thing. All of a sudden, I had this hunger inside of me for reading God's word, and I couldn't put it down. My friends would call me on the phone and be like, hey, you want to hang out? You want to? And I'd be like, not right now. I'm reading the Bible. They're like, what are you talking about? And I just had this hunger inside of me because God was feeding my soul. What really started happening is God was teaching me how to trust Him. The things that I was reading in His Word, I started putting into action and seeing His faithfulness. It got to a point where in reading the Bible, just seeing who Jesus really was, what He did. When He went to the cross, He really paid a price for my sin. He really made a way for me to be forgiven and for me to have a relationship with God forever. When He rose from the dead, He really rose with power, and He is able to give me a brand new life. And I believed it, and I put my faith in Him, and I experienced that transformation of my whole life. Since then, in that journey of learning how to trust Jesus, He began showing me more and more of what He created me to do, like who He created me to be. And where I thought were weaknesses, what I thought was I'm a failure, was actually God saying, no, Shaun, I made you this way because I have a purpose for your life. And in order for you to do what I'm calling you to do, you need to be made exactly the way that you are. He began showing me more and more who He created me to be, all the way to the point where He gave me this vision and this calling to reach skateboarders around the world with the truth about who Jesus is.